Well, today is African Border Day, and over the years, the day has been commemorated at the continental level each year. The day is celebrated under a specific theme, drawing out key messages on the need to work towards the elimination of all sources of conflict along international boundaries, strengthen peaceful relations among countries, and ensure borders become bridges and not barriers. Here in Ghana, the Ghana Boundary Commission, led by its Commissioner, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, have been working towards this goal. Thankfully, he joins us via Zoom as we talk about the Africa Border Day and its significance. Major General Dr. Kotia, as always, a pleasure to have you here on the Pulse. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Elton.
Yeah, so, I mean, how significant is this day, Africa Borders Day?
Very significant. Let me first mention that it's an annual event that is commemorated by the African Union member states to promote the objectives of the African Union Boundary Program. This was established in 2007, and it aims at the African Union Border Program aims at institutionalizing cross-border cooperation as a tool for developing border areas and addressing the socio-economic needs of border communities, and also strengthening regional and continental cooperation among the member states. Specifically, the African Union Border Program, it has some few objectives. The one is to promote cross-border cooperation, as inculcated in the reasons why we celebrate African Border Day, to develop border areas and strengthen regional and continental collaboration. Also, but not the least, border demarcations and limitation are also one aspect that the African Union Border Program emphasizes on.
Right, so the Ghana Boundary Commission, you've been very busy in the last few years. I mean, visiting all our border towns, ensuring that our pillars are protected here and there. Will you say that as we celebrate this day, that Ghana's, borders in terms of pillars and then the demarcation, will you say that we are so protected that we have nothing to worry about?
Yes, let me say that our boundaries are secured. Let me mention this clearly. One of the key reasons or one of the key factors why you must have a state, or one of the characteristics of a state, is that a state must have defined boundaries. Now, when your boundaries are not defined, you cannot call yourself a state. So Ghana as a state exists because we have defined boundaries. And this is one key responsibility of the Ghana Boundary Commission and other boundary commissions across the continent and the world. So we have our boundaries clearly demarcated. However, we have had some challenges with the current boundaries that we have because of natural and human activities where boundary pillars have been displaced or tempered or removed in some cases. And in addition, the distances between a pillar within the boundary, the distance is so long, sometimes as much as 3 kilometers, that people living along the boundaries are not able to identify the international boundary line. It is also therefore, it is our responsibility, one, to educate the communities living around the boundaries, and also to ensure that we reaffirm these boundaries so that we have clarity of our international boundary line. Otherwise, we may have interferences or cross-border activities without actually the knowledge of the communities living in either side of the borders.
But to what extent should we be concerned if some of our boundary pillars are compromised?
Yes, so we are concerned because it removes the mark. But the good thing is that we have legacy documents that gives us the positioning of these boundaries. So what we are doing now is that we've started a reaffirmation exercise with Côte d'Ivoire and Togo. We've gone very far with Togo, where we do a reaffirmation, sensitization, and we have started constructing pillars, and these pillars are going to replace the old pillars. The old pillars were shallow, very small, and cannot be recognizable from far. But these new pillars are going to be deep ones. They are going to go about 2 meters deep and 2 meters up, and they are going to be sizable enough. And then, apart from the main pillars that we are constructing, we are introducing what we call intermediary pillars. So in between a main pillar, one main pillar and another main pillar, we may have as many as 6 intermediate pillars, so that the communities and even the security agencies will be able to identify the international boundary line. In addition, we've also realized that even the security agencies like the Ghana Immigration Service, they need to be informed where the boundaries are.
Right.
It's not their responsibility. So it is important for us to have pillars that are recognized. So what we are also introducing is what we call border crossing pillars, so that at any crossing point where we have immigration officials, they have the pillar and they know where the international boundary line lies. And I will give you a typical example. We're in Bongo recently, and we realized that as a result of this problem, Ghana Immigration Service were built, they were constructing some buildings, and they constructed one of the buildings and it went into across the border. So that is a problem so far as international boundary lines are concerned, because they couldn't recognize or identify the international boundary line. But when we went on the ground, we realized that yes, they've gone beyond the limits of the international boundary line.
And you would say that these are some of the milestones reached by the Ghana Boundary Commission.
Yes, so the reaffirmation is one, and we are doing it with Cote d'Ivoire as well. Construction of pillars is going to start with Cote d'Ivoire very soon. The reaffirmation goes along with sensitization along the communities.
Right.
And the sensitization is twofold: to sensitize the people to be aware of what international boundary lines are. Secondly, for them also to serve as protectors of these international boundary places, and to provide information in case there is any problem or any disturbance or any tampering of the international boundary lines. So these are some of the things. So it goes along that. So one, reaffirmation on the ground to confirm exactly the ground. Two, sensitization. The third is the construction of the police. So we do this sensitization a lot along the border communities along the international boundary. In addition, we also are able to look at the human needs or the human security needs of the prime border communities. Right. And the other thing, you agree with me that most of the prime communities in any country can be found along the boundaries of their countries.
Yes. Because
some of them are inaccessible. And for that matter, our concentration is in some of them. And we are looking for social intervention, some activities that include social intervention for these communities. So we're trying to come out with strategies with development partners and other agencies and CSOs to see how best we can intervene in this.
The last time your team went to the Upper East region, the issue about some foreign nationals, I don't know whether they've taken advantage of the laxity in some of our border towns and now engaging in illegal mining in Ghana. And then the directive was that all of them should move back to their host country. Was this isolated, or there are still some of these concerns that we need to be worried with?
So in our work, we be able to identify some few areas. We brought it to the notice of the Ministry of National Security and Government on some of these areas, because not that the illegal activities is our responsibility, no, but the issue is that the tampering of the shifting of international boundaries for them to get an advantage. So I'll give an example. In Dollar Power, for instance, because of these illegal mining activities, the locals were removing the international boundary line to claim that that territory was not a Ghanaian territory and they were carrying out illegal activities.
Right.
So first of all, the safeguarding of our territorial integrity is key so far as our boundaries are concerned.
Yes.
So it was of a concern. So we took up that, and then fortunately for us, we'll be able to get some funding, and we facilitated through the Ministry of Roads and Highways. and we have constructed a road. The key thing about dollar power was a lack of access road. So the security agencies are not able to deploy in that area. And the same thing arises in Sapelga, where we went and you are referring to. So Sapelga was also in the same situation. So what we have is that we have nationals from other countries taking advantage and coming into our territory, and especially where the mineral activities are along the borders, then they would then come in and exploit and send this gold across their country, whilst Ghana, we are not getting anything out of it.
So how do we deal with this matter when we have the broader concern of national security threat because of, activities of insurgents in some of our neighboring countries, and then the movement that can easily be extended into our part of the world?
Okay, so this is being addressed now. Now, that is why the intervention of construction of feeder roads has come in Sapelga. So in Sapelga, for instance, the feeder road has been constructed, creating access to the border area. In addition to that, we have asked them to construct, and what has been done, to construct the patrol routes along the international boundary. It's happening the same at dollar power. So what is happening is that along the international boundary, the roads that have been constructed is about 20 meters away from the international boundary. So the security agencies are able to drive along and patrol and keep and safeguard our international boundary. So that is one intervention that is very, very key, and that has been done. So for now, that has been, but the issue of people crossing is still a challenge. And I think that there are efforts being made to address this. That is the reason why the Regional Security Council, in the case of Sapelga, went to us, and they are following up on addressing this issue.
But what also about the collaboration that is also key between Ghana and some of our neighboring countries, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, and the rest, so that that sanctity is maintained at the borders?
So there's a lot of collaboration and cooperation. Now, let me mention this, that all the countries that you have mentioned and all West African countries have boundary commissions.
Right.
So we collaborate. We even have a platform that we discuss issues, a common platform that we discuss issues on. So when there is a problem that relates to Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, between me and my counterpart in Cote d'Ivoire, we're able to discuss. Sometimes we resolve them amicably. Between Ghana and Togo, the same. Between Ghana and Burkina Faso, the same. And I'll give you an example. There was a problem of the movement of a border post in Pulumanco sometime in 2021. Now, what we did was that we contacted our colleagues from Togo, and then we all met with our legacy documents, and we realized that the fault was from the Togolese local communities and the local security agencies, because the border there was not well defined. But looking at the legacy documents, we agreed on the spot between us and the Togo Boundary Commission that the right boundary was where the legacy document pointed us. So the Togolese had to shift back and then inform the local community that, look, where they have gone to was not part of their territory. We have similar situations in other areas, some favoring us, some also favoring Togo and Cote d'Ivoire and whatever.
And then again, pardon me, because we had to now take our issue with Cote d'Ivoire regarding our maritime boundary to an international court, and the lessons learned from it going forward. I know the Commission has done a lot in terms of de-elimination, demarcation. I mean, how are you using technology to address these matters?
Yeah, so the ruling of the ITLOS, the ruling by the ITLOS was very fundamental.
Right.
And let me mention this before I go to technology, that we are collaborating with Cote d'Ivoire currently to implement the ruling, and we're doing it well with them. And then secondly, we've been going on maritime patrols in collaboration with the Navy to inspect our international maritime boundary. We've been doing that very often. We do it about twice a year. It's a tedious work, but we do it. And that is where technology also comes in. Doing this, apart from the naval ship that we are on board, we use mapping drones to identify the international maritime boundary. And then the same mapping drones we use to identify our land markings. Now, let me mention here that GFBC has been very fundamental in supporting us, funding to purchase some of these mapping tools. Currently, we have about 3 of them, and for now, it's sufficient. We also have 2 maritime boundary drones, which the Navy is using in collaboration with us. So in that wise, so technology-wise, the mapping drones is key. We have other equipment like GNS equipment and other equipments that support us in our work. I must say that we have challenges. We still have challenges so far as technology equipment is concerned, but we're hoping that with time we should be able to get the adequate tools to be able to perform our role effectively.
I know you spoke about Cote d'Ivoire. I also do understand that we have a pending issue with Togo. I don't know if there's an update on that.
Yes, there's a pending issue with Togo. Currently, the negotiations has reached the level of the head of states, and I believe that with time this should be resolved. We're almost getting there. You know that it's also a maritime boundary issue, and I've been leading the technical committee negotiations with Togo, and I think that we've raised it up to the head of states level, and we are hoping that in the very near future, a final decision will be taken. What the 2 head of states agreed was that they will not send this matter to the courts like the Ghana Cote d'Ivoire issue, but then this should be resolved among the 2 countries amicably because of the culture, the people are almost the same and what have you, so that we will not have rancor among between the 2 countries. So this has gone on progressively well, and the 2 head of states, it has now reached the level of the 2 head of states, and we think that very soon we should have a positive decision on it.
So, Major General, as we celebrate this day, and especially taking you back to the border towns, I mean, you go there and you see intermarriages between Ghana and some of our neighboring countries. They live virtually as brothers and sisters. Is it possible that we'll get to a stage where we'll have borderless, communities, such that the integration can be great to enhance economic development and growth?
Yes. So, if you look at the protocols, both ECOWAS and international protocols, it allows free movement of people across the borders, but using prescribed entry points. Now, the other thing about the protocols is that because of the nature of the boundaries and that it was demarcated arbitrarily by our colonial masters, we have communities that are interlinked, or probably the same, they come from the same family, but then they are divided just because of the international boundary line. That is well understood. Now, if you go to a town like Kamatumu in the Volta region, Ghana provides electricity. It's in Togo. Ghana provides electricity to that town.
Yes.
And children from Ghana go to school in that town, but they use the approved route. So there is a whole lot of collaboration between these towns so far as our communities are concerned. But the key thing is that that's why the fact that we are aiming at a borderless continent so far integration is concerned. Once the country Ghana exists, you need to have defined boundaries. Otherwise, you don't call yourself a nation state. So that is key.
Major, before I let you go, what would be your advice to young people, especially as you celebrate this day? How do they take keen interest in the work of the commission, the observance of this border day as we move forward?
Not only young people, but everybody, including various actors, the media especially. We want you to be carried along to understand what our work is. People need to read the laws and understand what work we are doing. It's a very fundamental work because, let's say it, people do not understand that if you don't have a defined territory, then you don't have a state. If we understand it that way, then you understand the significance of the Ghana Boundary Commission, all boundary commissions across the world. Right. And most significantly, for the very first time, ECOWAS is organizing the first Heads of Boundary Commissions meeting, and it's going to take place in Accra next month, early next month. The meeting is taking place because of the significant role the Ghana Boundary Commission has played so far as its activities are concerned. And then the Ghana Boundary Commission, in addition, has served as a tool for sharing our experiences with other countries. Remember, recently the African Union brought SADC countries to come and learn how to establish boundary commissions and infrastructures from the Ghana Boundary Commission. So we're doing well, and we think that we should all take interest in the activities of the Ghana Boundary Commission, and we should understand what boundaries are, what are the key elements of boundaries. We should know the significance of the African Border Day to raise awareness, encourage communities, and celebrate achievements so far as our countries are concerned. And especially, let's give priority to the deprived communities who live along the boundary.
All right. Major General Dr. Emmanuel Kotia is the head of the Ghana Boundaries Commission. And so today is Africa Borders Day. And that's how come we had this very exciting conversation. So bottom line, let's all be involved and be interested in the work of the commission as we move on. Now let's move